Hello, everyone. I'm Barry Skillington, and this is Straight Talking Science, episode number 4. Welcome to each and every one of you. I am the Chief Commercial Officer with Atlantia Clinical Trials, based here in Cork and in Chicago in the USA. We do human clinical research for companies from all over the world in functional foods and nutraceutical space. So, today I am delighted to be joined by Anneliese Dressel, founder and owner of the Health Hub store here in Cork. So, I'm going to let Lisa introduce herself. Today we're going to talk about all things supplements in many different areas, and we'll see where we get to. And she's going to give some really sound, great advice on what to take, when to take it, and for what conditions. So, Lisa, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Excellent. So thanks, Barry, and thank you for having me. So the Health Hub store kind of came about as an idea when I was dealing with a client working as a nutritional therapist, and she had been given some absolutely horrendous advice in a health shop that was actually quite dangerous. And I thought, isn't it an awful pity that there's nowhere people can go and get the same level of expert advice on natural medicines and remedies that they would expect if they walked into a pharmacy? So that's how the Health Hub was born. Actually, it was born as the natural pharmacy, but the pharmacists took umbrage to that, so I had to change it. We've been going now for 11 years, and we're all qualified nutritional therapists. So we would very much understand the science behind supplements, and we would be able to give excellent advice really on safe supplements for various different health conditions. And we've seen some amazing results over the years with people taking various different supplements. And that's, I suppose, what I love about the natural supplement space, Barry, is that if you take a natural supplement for one problem, it's actually going to work probably on 5 or 6 different areas in the body. So it's not just going to have one benefit, it'll have multiple benefits.
Okay.
And that's the interesting thing about natural medicines and remedies.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's start. What's happening in supplements? Like, maybe let's start there. Like, what's trending? What are people taking? What are people talking about? When they come to you now, you see so much, I suppose, generic questioning from the general public.
Absolutely. And actually, supplements have exploded.
Yeah.
But since I opened the health shop, it's totally changed since 11 years ago. So at the time, I think probably the most common supplements we would have sold would have been joint supplements, winter supplements for immune system, and we would have had a lot of digestive issues. But particularly since COVID, we've started selling an awful lot more in the stress, lack of sleep space.
Okay.
So it's totally changed. Plus the advent of TikTok, influencers, flogging stuff online. We get an awful lot of people coming in that they've seen something on Facebook and they want to know, is it safe to take or is it fit for purpose? So we've had to debunk a lot of myths with people coming in with various different stuff. So that's really how it's changed. But always what's big is anything to do with beauty for young people. So skin
Right.
health, how to bulk up muscle-wise. That would be big amongst young people.
Yeah.
Middle-aged women, it's female hormones, female health. We've started getting a lot more males interested in their health. And then, of course, as people get older, they're looking at heart health, brain health, joint health.
Okay.
So it changes, I think, compared to age groups.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I have a few questions here just to keep us on track, but like that kind of moves into the next area of everyday concerns. So, like, anxiety and mood we see trending in what we do. Brain health is trending, women health is trending. So I guess you're seeing the same thing on the street then, it sounds like.
Absolutely, and I think it's probably largely socially driven as
Yeah.
well. But some of the great things about it, I think, is that we've started talking about mental health a lot more compared to when we would have been coming up. You would have been told to drink a glass of water and go for a long walk. Nowadays, you might be taken seriously.
Yeah.
So mental health has become very, very big, especially for young people, and of course the effect of social media and phones on young people. We all know about that.
Yeah.
So I have seen parents with kids as young as 8 that are anxious and unable to sleep. We've seen a big explosion in ADD diagnosis and ADHD, so children struggling to fit in with the traditional school model and focus and concentrate. And all of these have been hugely exacerbated by COVID, I think, as well.
Okay. And you mentioned there like social media and phones. So young people are coming into you. Like, is the traffic into you being driven by social media and the trends that are there? Yeah.
Definitely.
So is there self-perpetuation in some of these conditions, like anxiety, because everyone else is anxious?
I'd say there probably is, Barry. We're kind of getting into dodgy ground there. But when I like opinion-wise, I would definitely say so.
Yeah.
you know, I mean, there was a lot of benefit to being told drink a glass of water and go for a long walk, because particularly when you're teenagers, it is very difficult, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I think that some of it is self perpetuating. And of course, the fact that social media is such a huge part of their lives, not only are they looking at other kids that are anxious and, you know, strategies to deal with it, but actually they're also looking at kids who have amazing lives and they're wondering, why am I not like
Yeah,
that?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what teenagers don't realize is that everybody as a teenager is struggling to fit in. We're all figuring out how to find who we are and what we're like. We're all wanting to be popular.
Mm.
We're all insecure as teenagers. That's just part of it, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And so I know we're going to get into products in a second, but like, what kind of products are you seeing then for those types, like the top conditions, say for teenagers? Like, are they after ashwagandha? Because so I'm kind of
So,
getting into social media because you see these like ashwagandha,
yes,
KSM, and it's all over social media, and now everybody's buying it.
yes.
Is that what you're seeing then?
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
ashwagandha was a big one. That's a bit yesterday now though, Barry.
Oh,
At the
sorry, right,
moment it's
right.
parasite cleanse. That's a
Parasite
big
cleanse.
one. So
Really?
yeah, absolutely. So we have people from the ages of 14 and 15 to the ages of 70 coming in looking for parasite cleanse herbs. So that has been trending obviously. Um, and do I think it's worth doing a parasite cleanse? No, not really.
Thank God,
Now,
jeez.
having said that, I don't know if you remember, but do you remember being wormed as a child? Because I
Well,
definitely
you got
remember being
Guinness
wormed.
sometimes.
It
Yeah,
was a tablet you took,
yeah,
it was
yeah.
pink, and it was very exciting because your poo came out pink afterwards. So it was quite exciting.
Yeah.
But that we used to get wormed twice a year. Um, but nowadays, like, I mean, if parasites are damaging your health in your gut, you'll be losing weight, you'll probably have bloating, cramping, pain, diarrhea, constipation. You'll feel terrible if
Yeah.
it's affecting your health. If it's not, you don't need to do a parasite
Okay.
cleanse.
Okay.
But the herbs that people are looking for that are things like wormwood or artemisia, oregano, thyme, garlic, black walnut, caprylic acid, oregano. And there are products that, and I would use them regularly for people who genuinely do need a cleanse,
Yeah.
but definitely most people on the street do not need a parasite cleanse.
Jeez, that's news to me, I have to tell you. Okay. And then, like, so other top trending areas, would say in the women's health, from
Excuse me.
period pain to
Yeah.
menopause to perimenopause and all the symptomology. Like we had Professor Siobhan Amani last episode here, and she talked about some of the issues within from perimenopause through menopause. So, like, what are people asking you, or they're just asking your advice and what you recommend, maybe?
Well, the way that we work in the Health Hub is that we kind of treat everybody individually. And the idea, really, if natural medicine is going to work, is you have to figure out where are the drivers, what's the root cause of the problem, and you work at that level. Otherwise, you're really only plastering over with, managing
Right.
symptoms.
Okay. Yeah.
So, in terms of like women's health, if we start with teenagers, and actually, just could I say as well, in general, I do think that women's hormonal health is suffering because of the link with stress and
Okay.
anxiety. So, if you actually look at the way that female hormones and male hormones as well are made, is that they're all made from the same building block. The original building block is cholesterol. That's converted down into pregnenolone, which goes to DHEA. DHEA is that hormone that Sylvester Stallone was caught trying to smuggle into a country at some point. So that's our kind of libido, our mojo, our lust for life hormone. And that one then, and the pregnenolone, they get converted down into our sex hormones, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. But it also gets converted down into cortisol, which is our stress hormone.
Yeah.
And that's the hormone that will take precedence. So if you need more cortisol, all of that pregnenolone and DHE will be shunted down that pathway. And it
Okay.
makes sense because, like, as a species, we're animals. So it's not ideal if you fall pregnant when you're stressed in a
Hmm.
drought, because not only would you probably not have a live birth, but you might threaten the survival of the mother. So for survival of the species, that makes sense. So, from a hormone balance perspective, I think that stress has a massive impact on PMT, heavy painful periods, the weepiness and the crossness and the depression leading up to periods, and all of the period symptoms that people get. So, we would look to balance the hormones at a kind of a basic level. So, if stress is involved, we'll use things to manage stress. So, you're looking at things like ashwagandha that you mentioned,
Yeah.
rhodiola, which is a lovely herb. It's a really gentle herb for helping improve your resilience. Also, things like vitamin B6 is a great one for period pain, PMT.
Yeah.
It's a great one if you get the sore, tender breasts. and the weepy kind of week before your period. It's fantastic for that. Other herbs, then Agnus castus is a great one to balance your hormones overall. So that's a wonderful one that we'd use. Other things then would be things that help you get rid of estrogen from your body.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, when we use our hormones, when they're finished, we need to be able to get rid of them. And gut health plays a part and liver health plays a part.
Right.
So phase 1 detoxification and phase 2 happen in the liver. You can support that with your sulfur producing foods because they go down a sulfation pathway. So things like anything that smells like an egg, garlic and onions, all of your brassicas, so broccoli, kale. And if you think about teenagers, they ain't eating those
Yeah,
foods an awful
yeah.
lot. But they're great to help with detoxification, vitamin C, the B vitamins. And nowadays, formulations have become so clever that you actually can buy one product that nearly
Okay. I
contains
was going
all
to
of
say,
those.
yeah,
Yeah. So there would be a couple of ranges that would be specifically formulated for PMT support.
Okay.
And they'll have all of those things in there. And they can make a huge difference. Magnesium for period pain.
Mm.
Then as we go on into later life, you've got young women trying to get pregnant. So I would think that, again, stress is a big factor. So that's really where we would work, is to try and manage stress so that hormones can work as well as possible. And then, like for fertility, really taking a good antenatal or prenatal supplement will cover all of your basics. Omega-3 fats, fantastic as well for
Yeah.
fertility, I think. And they would be very important in the first trimester of pregnancy, where you have huge neural development in the first 3 months. All of the neural development for the spine, the brain, everything is being laid down.
Right.
So an omega fat that's high in DHA is wonderful for that. And a good, again, antenatal that will have all your B vitamins in there. We know that maternal health has a huge impact on fetal health and then also the child's health later on in childhood and in adult life. So taking a prenatal multi mightn't be necessary
Yeah.
if you have a good diet, but I just think it ticks the boxes
Like
just
an
in
insurance
case.
policy.
Yeah, an
Yeah.
insurance policy. And then as we go into menopause, like sure, I mean, everywhere you go now, it's menopause, menopause, menopause. So there's a lot of information on that. But again, it's looking at most of the natural supplements will have plant-based hormones in there. So they will mimic estrogen in the body. They can work really well, especially if people can't do traditional HRT
Yeah.
because they get side effects. They'll have the B vitamins, magnesium in there. Generally, magnesium in bisglycinate form because the glycine element is great for sleep at night.
Mm.
They'll have herbs in there like the ashwagandha, rhodiola, schizandra. They're fabulous for the stress management, so it's coming about from that side. And then we've got other herbs that are great for menopause, like red clover, dong quai, shatavari. These are all female focused herbs.
Okay.
And again, a great formulation will have all of those in there.
And so when someone comes to you, you recommend a formulation based on what you're being told by
Based
them.
on the
Yeah.
symptoms.
Yeah.
And some people will take HRT and a natural remedy at the same time because
Okay.
the HRT will get them so far.
Yeah.
And sometimes I will say to people after taking a natural remedy, if they're not getting a good result, go and take HRT and
Okay.
try that for a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's great for bone health long term because osteoporosis, like after we change, men are the same as 50, our bodies totally change in terms of like our joints are starting to give out from wear and tear. Our diets change. We start putting on weight, particularly around the middle. We've got less energy.
Mhm.
Our digestive ability suffers as well. So there's lots of things that we need to do after 50
Yeah.
that we didn't have to worry about before 50.
Okay. Okay. And in the rapid round, if we get in the end, I'll ask some questions on it. So another big area: focus, fatigue, energy. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, I'm so tired all the time."
Yeah.
And yeah.
So again, there's a very simple reason for that, and that is because we are probably doing too much.
Okay.
But that is modern life. Two parents have to be working now in order to afford a house in this country. So people are rushing out to work in the morning. They're trying to fit all their jobs in when they get home at weekends. So there is very little time for
Mm.
people. It is a very tiring, busy life, and technology actually can sometimes make it busier.
Yes. Yeah.
So to support yourself, look, I mean, the thing about we're talking about here are supplements.
Yeah.
So supplements are supposed to supplement a healthy diet. So if you don't have a healthy diet, there's not really much you can take that is going to protect you long term.
Okay.
That's
Fair
going to
enough.
protect your heart
Yeah.
and brain and energy wise. So the one big thing I would say for people in terms of energy is cut out sugar. All right, that's
Okay.
the big thing because you're going to get sugar highs where your insulin like overloaded. It's insulin is taking sugar out of your bloodstream very quickly. You get a resulting crash. In
Mhm.
the crash, all you want is sugar, sugar to get you back up again.
Yeah.
When you're high, you're in fat storage mode. So it's this huge roller coaster cycle. So taking out sugar and switching white things to brown things.
Hmm.
White bread,
Okay.
white brown bread. White pasta, brown pasta. White rice, brown rice. Loads of veg and protein with every meal. Buy the ready-made stuff if you can. If you can't cook, buy frozen veg, buy ready-made meals, try and get the better quality ones. But at least you're kind of getting a broad spectrum of those
Okay.
nutrients on your plate.
Yeah.
And then supplement-wise, you can support yourself. First of all, make sure you're not iron deficient, B12 deficient, and folate, because that's so common
And how you
now.
just get a blood test for that?
That'll show up in a blood test. The other way is just take a supplement with
Right.
iron, B12, and
Yeah.
folate in it. And if you feel good, you've probably been deficient. But we've a load of kids gone vegan now. So B12 would be a huge deficiency, would be a big issue.
Okay.
And after 50, our ability to absorb B12 lessens as well. So that's the first starting point. The other thing that can help with energy, I know most people take it for sleep, magnesium at night, but it's involved in 360 processes in the body. So it is great for energy. Coenzyme Q10 after 50 can really help with energy, particularly if you're taking a statin drug, because the statin makes you deficient in
Okay.
coenzyme Q10,
Right.
and it's an integral part of our Krebs cycle energy pathway. And then if you really need a good kick, I love ginseng. So ginseng is kind of like a non-jittery caffeine buzz, though if you need energy and you drink too much coffee.
Yeah.
So you're tired and wired at the same time, no good. But ginseng is a lovely way because it does support all of your adrenal glands and it does give you that energy buzz, but without that kind of wired feeling.
Okay.
Not suitable if you're on blood pressure medication.
Right. So actually, that brings up a good point, and we'll move to seasonality and winter coming, and winter's here. This is Ireland. But let's just circle back for 1 second. Concomitant medications. So lots of people are on medications like PPIs, cholesterol,
Yes.
as you mentioned, and other things. And so actually, you raised a nice point that it's important to mix in. It's all of your life, and so you're taking drugs. You're not going to stop taking drugs, but it's important then to choose the right supplements to
Yes.
maybe counteract some of the side effects.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, the first drug actually was isolated from the bark of the white willow, salicylic acid, which is aspirin.
Yeah.
So, a lot of drugs actually that they found have come from natural. So, natural can be a great way to help preserve your health, and it should really be the first thing that people turn to rather than medication because it comes more holistically. Whereas isolating a chemical, there is often side effects. So when you have a medication, and medication is wonderful, like we'll take a statin drug, for example, is a lifesaver.
Mm.
It prevents high cholesterol. And for a certain genetic portion of the population, that can lead to early onset heart disease and
Yeah.
death. But the problem is that we are depending on statins rather than doing the things that we need to do to manage our health. So a lot of people taking statins don't really need to be on a statin. And it does have side effects. So it does, the statin blocks a pathway that makes cholesterol, but that also makes coenzyme Q10, which is a really important component of your energy pathway. And if you think every single cell has to have its own energy pathway functioning in order to do its job, and if you're blocking the production of that vitamin, that could have long-term side effects. And the ones that we might see immediately would be muscle pain for people on statins, short-term memory loss, maybe shortness of breath. So that shows that your muscles are not able to produce enough energy and your brain cells to keep yourself going. But you can counteract the side effect of a statin by taking that coenzyme Q10.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So, I mean, the PPIs, that would be another perfect one. If you actually read the small print, they're for very short-term use only, but some people are on them for years upon years. So they block stomach acid, and we need stomach acid in order to, first of all, kill off bacteria that come in with our food. Secondly, it acidifies our minerals like iron, magnesium, zinc, calcium in order to absorb them. So if you're not absorbing calcium, increased risk of osteoporosis, osteopenia. It also influences the way we absorb our B12. So there's lots of things that a PPI can actually stop happening in the
Yeah.
stomach.
Yeah.
So you could mitigate for that by taking a vitamin B with high B12 in it. You could take a digestive enzyme that might help you acidify and absorb your minerals and your vitamins better.
Yeah.
So as we get older, again, our stomach acid naturally declines. To be honest, my own feeling on a PPI is that I don't think people have too much acid mostly. I think the problem is that little valve at the top
Yeah.
that's supposed to stay really tightly
Yeah.
closed.
Mhm.
I think that becomes weakened by stress or alcohol or caffeine, or smoking is a big one for that.
Mm.
So I think if you can actually tone that muscle, you don't have problems then with acid reflux. So that's the way natural medicine would go about it.
Yeah,
It would try
yeah.
and come from underneath.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. That's really good advice. So, like, that's the kind of advice that you can give in store that, you could be searching the internet and getting 100 different versions of that and not knowing which one is the real one. So,
Very
yeah,
confusing
and
for
that's why
people.
people like nutritional therapists, that's why
Yeah.
it's so important. Um, it's hard to believe we did the same. I know, at least for a long time, it's hard to believe we did the same college course because you were very divergent in your level of information versus mine. So seasonal focus. Let's talk about,
Yes.
winter, summer. Do the supplement regimes change? Should they change? If so, to
Yes.
what?
So for me, I love the winter with all the viruses because it's great for business.
Yeah, you're
Um,
the only one
the
that does
summers
that.
are quiet time. So yeah, absolutely. So lots of immune stuff, of course, over the
Mm,
winter. And generally, to be honest, we see people when they're already sick. But the natural way to manage would be to kind of preempt.
yeah,
So I think most people are familiar with the term viral load now since COVID.
yeah,
So
yeah.
the way a virus works is it gets into your cell and it uses your genetic material in order to multiply and replicate itself exactly. So in order to get into your cell, it has to have a spike to puncture in. Then it needs to be able to use your cell's genetic material to reproduce, and then the cell bursts and the virus copies come out and invade other cells.
Right.
So
Yeah.
if you can catch your virus in one cell before it gets to replicate and spread to other cells, it's much easier for your immune system to come in and chomp up and get rid of all those little viruses. But once it starts multiplying, your immune system then is under huge pressure.
Right. Yeah.
So prevention is brilliant. I would definitely recommend in the winter months a vitamin D. I can't understand how it's not government advice. We
Okay.
don't get it in Ireland. We don't, I mean, this year we did good summer, but mostly people don't have enough sun to store it sufficiently in the summer. All of our animals are indoors now. Our chickens are indoors. Our pigs are indoors. They never see the light of day, so they've no vitamin D. So we're
Hmm.
not getting it from our food. And then in the winter time, the cows go indoors, so we're not getting it from milk and cheese either.
Okay.
So vitamin D, huge for immune system, huge for mood, brain health, and also huge for bone support for preventing osteoporosis for the absorption of calcium. So that should be a basic for every single person in the family, a vitamin D3.
Okay.
After the age of 50, you should be taking it with a vitamin K2 because D3 increases your absorption of calcium, and calcium in too much can harden cholesterol in your arteries and increase your risk of heart disease. So taking a vitamin K2 with it directs it into the bones and
Okay.
keeps it away from the arteries.
Oh.
So over 50, take a D3 and a K2 together.
Okay.
Then other things that you can take. So, I mean, some kids are very sickly and it's worth giving them something winter long. There's elderberry is a great one because the elderberry extract prevents the spike from being able to be formed, so the virus can't get into the cell because it can't form a spike.
Okay.
That's a great one. Zinc is a big one for immune system and vitamin C. The beta glucans, we're hearing more about these now. These mostly come from, actually, oats are great for beta glucans, and beta glucans are brilliant for cholesterol and management.
Yeah.
So, actually, this is a typical example of one thing being able to do more than one
Yeah.
job
Yeah.
in the body.
Yeah.
But beta glucans are wonderful for your immune system. Mushrooms are very high in them. So, we're starting to see a lot more medicinal mushrooms trending now at the moment and selling. They're fantastic for your immune system. You can get, again, specialised products. So,
Mm.
two of our favourite products in the shop we sell every year are the BioNutri Elderberry Complex that has all those things in there. And then Nature's Plus do an immune boost one, which is lovely. It's also got something in there called N-acetylcysteine, which is a really good natural anti-inflammatory for the lungs, and it helps thin out mucus. So if you're prone to respiratory
Yeah.
problems in the winter, that's a great one. Then echinacea at the first sign of sickening. So a lot of people will know their bodies. They'll know, gosh, I'm tired, I'm feeling a bit achy, headachy. That's the virus starting to take hold. Stick on the echinacea straight away.
Mhm.
That ramps up your white blood cells, and they're your first line of defense. So they're like the Marines that go in
Right.
and they fight the first line of defense, and they prevent the viruses from being able to get in and affect other cells. Echinacea is a wonderful one. And then there's various other different ones. So for respiratory, you've got like pine bark extract, um, cat's claw is wonderful, Icelandic moss is wonderful. We sell a lot of something called Dr. Dealish Clare Mucotone. It's a herbalist. She's a GP, actually, that lady, very interesting. And she's a herbalist. So she makes a lot of very good herbal remedies. And this particular one, Mucotone, we sell it by the bucket in the summer. Now, it's garlic in there, so you're never going to get it into a kid. but it is amazing in terms of managing respiratory.
Hmm.
So you can take it preventatively, or you can take it when you're sick as well. And if you can avoid getting an antibiotic, you can avoid infection kicking in, that's great for your gut health long term.
Right.
So lots of different products. Most health shops will have very, very bespoke
Yeah.
combinations that will give you an all-rounder.
Right. Okay, so it'd be remiss of me not to mention the microbiome, since we've mentioned it in every episode thus
Yeah.
far. And Cork has a fantastic lineage of research,
Yeah.
and we have APC, and we have Chagas and Moore Park, and so probiotics. Interested to know, what do people know about prebiotics, probiotics? Do they know anything?
It's very confusing for
Right.
people, Barry.
Yeah.
So people think the probiotics will fix everything from heartburn to celiac disease. And I don't know, do people even understand that it's actually probiotics only benefit in the lower part of the intestine?
Mm.
And there's one particular brand of probiotic that's being recommended an awful lot, particularly by doctors, but actually it's only one strain of one type of bacteria.
Mm.
Whereas like the microbiome is made up of billions of bacteria, and God knows how many different strains. Now, actually, since the 60s, those strains have become less and less as we eat more processed foods.
Yeah.
Our microbiomes are becoming far less diverse. But diversity is the key.
Yeah.
And I try and give people the analogy in the shop that if you take a probiotic, it's like planting seeds in your garden. So if you just plant seeds for red dahlias, all you're going to get is red dahlias. So what you want is you want like a big garden mix.
Hmm.
And that's what you're looking for in a probiotic. I'm a much bigger fan of trying to get them through food.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we really understand probiotics. I'm not sure that supplementing with probiotics long term is a good thing. I think it might affect diversity in the long term. I definitely see the benefit of them for people who've got gut health issues. I definitely see the benefit of them after antibiotics.
Mm.
But I think if your diet is full of good fibre foods, like we should be eating about 10 veg a day,
Right.
if you've got all of that fibre going in, and if you've got some fermented foods going in, your gut microbiome should be fairly healthy.
Right.
And I don't really think we should be messing too much with it in those cases.
Okay. Yeah. Which is good. I mean, so the message has been consistent across everything we've ever talked about here is whole foods, keep so UPFs, ultra processed foods, to an absolute minimum, and then the greater the diversity, the better
The
the
better.
diet. Yeah.
Like you'd have to argue, I mean, there's billions of them. So are like we there to keep them alive? Are they there to keep us alive? It's hard to know.
Well,
You know?
yeah, there's various opinion on whether who's running
Who
running
runs
who.
Yeah. But we do definitely see big impact of changing the gut microbiome on other things. So there's one particular probiotic that's amazing for mental health.
Yeah.
There is another one that's amazing for skin health. So for eczema, the Lactobacillus salivarius, we've been seeing some great results with that in the shop. For the gut health, so for the rhamnosus is fantastic. Saccharomyces boulardii, which is actually more of a yeast,
Mm.
that can be wonderful for people who've got really bad long-term diarrhea, IBS. It's not fixing the problem, but it can help
Yeah.
manage.
It can. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So we're getting more specific about what they do.
Right.
Like Artemisia is a big one that's getting a lot of focus at the moment. The Artemisia bacteria Akkermansia.
Oh, Akkermansia. Yeah.
Akkermansia is very good to help ensure the integrity of the gut. So it helps the mucus producing cells produce the mucus that is the healthy environment for all the other gut bacteria. So if that environment isn't healthy, you're not going to get good
Yeah.
bacteria
Mhm.
actually colonizing. So the more we mess with stuff, I don't know. I think get it in a whole food. So get your fermented foods, your live yogurt, your sauerkraut. There's one great product that's just come into the shop recently, and it's a drink called Goody.
Mm.
There's something like 90 different types of bacteria in there.
Yeah.
There's billions of
I've seen it
bacteria in
actually,
there.
yeah.
It's a drink you could, chuck a teaspoon into a kid's orange juice in the morning. They wouldn't even know it's there.
Mm.
And that's a way of them getting a diverse range of
Right.
bacteria.
That's really good. Now, as with everything, that's a lot of information, and I'm sure people are like, huh? So, again, going to your store,
Yeah.
Let's talk about sources of information, and then we're going to do a bit of a rapid fire just on different
Yes.
conditions. So, sources of information, the internet is the main source, I would assume. So, ChatGPT, whatever.
Mhm.
Like, is that trusted? Is it sometimes trusted? Like, where are the limits?
Yeah, I think the problem is that quality of information is not really the problem because there
Right.
is a lot of quality information out there. but it's the amount of information, and also it's I suppose it's the using of information to sell products that mightn't necessarily be beneficial or might be totally overpriced. So we'd often get people coming into the shop, they've seen something on Facebook, we'll say for joint care. And it's actually not a bad product, but maybe the ingredients there's not a lot of it, and they're paying a large price for it. So they've got, all these testimonials, they've got infomercials. That's really what we're fighting, is that people are starting to believe what they're seeing online, and they're spending a lot of money on products that really, not necessarily a bad product, but definitely way overpriced. So the other thing then, of course, is that you're inclined to go with what people are recommending that you think you might need, and you might be working at a surface level. So what I was saying earlier is that we try and look what as the driver of the health issue, and you work at that level because that fixes the problem as opposed to just manages it. So I think people are inclined to try and manage their symptoms, and that's maybe where they end up spending a lot of money on supplements that they don't
and missing
need.
the mark in many cases, probably.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that all of those ones are necessarily bad, but I think a good health shop should be able to give you good advice. They should be able to give you quality products, and definitely to suit your pocket. We have ranges. We've got super products that are premium, that are amazing, but not everyone can afford them. So we have alternatives. And then they should be able to look at your medication and make sure that what you're taking is going to be safe with what they're recommending. Because otherwise you could do damage.
That's a really good service. All right, we are running out of time, so let's go quick fire round. And just give me the names of maybe ingredients and even brands if you feel they're really good. So 35, 45-year-old women, men, stress. Well,
Yeah, very busy lives. Not a lot of time for themselves, not a lot of downtime. So things that would really help with them are things, first of all, sleep is a big issue because it's very difficult to shut off, and that leads to stress. So things like L-theanine, lemon balm, these are great for calm and focus. They can be taken in the daytime or they can be taken at night to stop a busy brain. They're great for kids actually even going into an exam.
right.
Valerian is a good one for sleep, and the magnesium bisglycinate of all the magnesiums is best for sleep because the glycine is good for the neurotransmitter that calms you down.
Okay.
They're great for sleep. A couple of products that work really well. We've got two in the shop that are our favourites because we get great feedback. One of them is the NHP Advanced Sleep Support. That's got hops, skullcap, theanine, lemon balm, chamomile, magnesium, glycine, and a few other things in there. And the other one that works great is the Nature's Plus Magnesium Nighttime.
Okay.
So they would be great for sleep. For stress then, it's kind of the same things during the day, but maybe with some other herbs in there. So ashwagandha, rhodiola, they'd be the two big herbs for stress. And you should be taking them with the magnesium and your B vitamins. So there's very good products that have them all encompassed. So there's Calm capsules, Revive Active Calm capsules. They're an Irish brand, an amazing product. Oh my God, do we sell a lot of it, and does it work well? But what I love most about the Revive Calm capsules is that there's 30 milligrams of saffron in there. And saffron has performed in clinical trials equally well as the serotonin reuptake inhibitors that are given for depression.
Okay.
So it's a great depression one. So it's great for low mood. And then it also has your ashwagandha and your L-theanine and everything in there for stress management. Nature's Nutri-Advanced, they do one called Resilience. That's another great one. The Fabulous Pharmacist, she does one that's called Relax, and they've got some medicinal mushrooms in there as well as ashwagandha and the B vitamins. So again, your health shop will have a lovely combo that'll work for your needs.
That's a lot. Okay. Low mood?
Saffron, definitely. It's amazing. Now, St. John's wort is great, but we're not allowed to sell it here in Ireland. You can get it from your GP. They will write you a prescription for it.
Okay.
So you can get it, and it does work really, really well. It comes from a plant that actually most of us would recognise in our gardens called Hypericum. Brilliant for nerve damage as well. So, St. John's wort if you can get it. But if you can't, definitely the B vitamins and high in B5, pantothenic acid for mental health. If it's hormone-based, we do a high B6 because that's fantastic for hormone-based low mood. And then saffron, amazing. Like the research is looking fantastic on it. And the lovely thing about saffron is that it doesn't prevent your own ability to produce serotonin. So you don't have to have the same weaning off period. So there's very few side effects which you can get if you try and wean yourself off an SSRI.
Right. Okay. Period pain?
Period pain. So the omega-3 fats, and they'd be my favourite supplement if anyone was to ever ask me, what would you recommend everyone take? It's an omega-3 fat. There's just so much research on it. It does so many jobs. It's good for your brain tissue. It's good for the fatty grey tissue in your brain and your nerves. So it protects against neurodegenerative diseases. It helps keep your blood lovely and thin. It keeps your good cholesterol up.
Hmm.
So very good for heart health. Fantastic for hormones. Great for skin. So just, and we don't eat enough oily fish. And if you do eat too much oily fish, then you could poison yourself with mercury. So we've wrecked that system of food. So the period pain omega-3 fats are the evening primrose oil because that'll thin the blood and it won't be as clotty.
Okay.
Then the B6 is fantastic and magnesium, big doses of magnesium. And it doesn't really matter what kind of magnesium you take for period pain, it's about the amount of it. So
Okay.
I love the Viridian one. There's 300 milligrams of magnesium in one capsule, and it's a combination of 3 different kinds of magnesium.
Okay. And just omega-3 fats source where? Is that
So try
fatty
and go
fish
for
or-
sustainable source. If you can take it off the spoon, cod liver oil is great. We all
Okay.
had it as kids. It depends. If you want something anti-inflammatory, you need something with high EPA
Okay.
in it, which is one of the omega-3 fats.
Yeah.
If you want something for brain, you want it better for DHA. That's for the brain and the nervous system tissue. So one of my favorite ones is Cardio. It comes with vitamin D. It's really, really pure. But there's good brands there. Wiley's is a great brand. Eskimo is a good brand. Another good brand is your Nordic Naturals. We sell a lot of that.
Okay.
So you can take it in a capsule or take it in, if you can take it off the spoon, it'll work out better value for you in the long
Okay.
run.
Okay. And like, just to maybe stitch us into it, we do trials in many of those brands. They come to us and they do trials in maybe new products or some of those products you're talking about. Okay, because we're running out of time, I'm just going to ask you one more question. What do you take? I'm sure you're asked all the time, but like, what
Yes.
is your combination in a daily? What's your regime, supplement regime?
So I really only take things as I need it. And actually, I was trialing one recently for memory, citicoline and creatine, which actually is another new one
Oh
that's
yeah,
becoming
creatine.
very interesting
Yeah,
for the over 50s.
yeah,
Creatine, there's many years research actually behind creatine because it was always used by fitness experts and bodybuilders.
yeah.
But it seems to be really good for brain focus and brain fog after the age of 50 and energy. So that's a great one. I've been trialing that.
Right.
And I was trialing another one for memory because I'm of that lady's age of menopause for brain fog, and I was trialing one called citicoline, but I kept forgetting to take it. So
Oh,
it
really works.
wasn't-
Then really
wasn't
works.
fair. Well, if I took it, maybe I'd remember to take it. But I always go back to the fish oils and a
Okay.
vitamin D. They would be hugely important. They would be my staples.
Yeah.
And at the moment, I am taking a natural menopause support, which is by a company called Metagenics. And it's a combination of that stress management, B vitamins, magnesium, and then the plant-based hormones, because HRT did not work out well for me.
Okay.
And I find that when I don't take that, I definitely notice a decrease in, in my ability to focus, energy, and the hating of the world thing becomes more of a problem then, and the brain fog actually, that's a huge one.
Yeah.
But during the winter months, then I would take stuff as I need it. So if I'm sickening, I start very quickly, but I don't take something every day because my diet is good.
Yeah.
I rarely take a multi. Maybe around February or even November, I would take something called the Source of Life Gold, which is a 300 superfood based multivitamin and tonic with ginseng. And I'd take that for a boost.
Okay.
But I think for everybody in Ireland now, take a vitamin D.
Okay.
If you're not a good eater of whole grains, take a B complex. It's brilliant for so many different things. And then if you don't eat oily fish 3 times a week, take a fish oil.
Okay. Okay. And just, is it better to take individuals like vitamin D on its own or part of a multi? Like, because people, I know,
I don't
if you don't,
I don't know,
does
Barry.
it matter
I think,
much?
to be honest, I always say to people, take stuff after food.
Mm.
And I don't know if it's for any, scientific reason, only that I think that after food, all of your digestive enzymes are active, your
Yeah.
bile is active, and your body's absorbing. So
Mm.
it's probably got its best chance of absorbing. There are things that are better taken alone. Like vitamin D is fat soluble. So if you don't take vitamin D with a fat,
Mm.
it's not going to be well absorbed.
Right.
So taking that with a meal makes sense as well. There's certain ones that make sense to take on an empty stomach. Like I think a probiotic is probably better to take on an empty stomach because it's more likely to survive stomach acid or get through without too much stomach acid. I think there's one that's very good for joint pain, UC2 cartilage. That's definitely best taken on an empty stomach. But I think as well, I should tell everyone that you should never take things near a medication. So that really should dictate. That's the only rule that is hard and fast.
Okay.
If you take a medication, wait an hour before you take a natural supplement because they can interfere the way that your liver might detoxify that medication. So you may not be getting the dose right of your medication. It might be detoxed too quickly.
That's very interesting. Okay, that's really good. I mean, so that's very, straight advice. There's a lot of information there. So I would recommend everybody in the world go to the Natural Health Store in Ballincollig. Tell me, in terms of last piece of advice for the general public in terms of like, okay, so you're a nutritional therapist. Should
Yes.
everybody be talking to nutritional therapists?
Well, I think not necessarily. There is a huge amount of information
Yeah.
out there, so it can be very confusing. And there are things that trend. But there's a couple of things that have, over the years, time and time again, come back as being, scientifically solid. And that is the Mediterranean diet.
Yeah.
So if you follow that and just that basic thing and cut sugar out, like health supplements should be used medicinally, I truly believe. They should be used as a supplement as and when you need them, but they shouldn't be used as an alternative to a good diet. So the Mediterranean diet, it's not confusing. You don't need to be following paleo diets or keto diets or low carb diets unless you have a specific reason that you need to do that.
Yeah.
So the Mediterranean diet, be kind to yourself as well, because, parents out there, they're very time poor. So if you can do a healthy breakfast, which you can control for your kids, you're not going to be able to control their lunch once they're gone to school. Kids are going to, in secondary school, are going to eat what they eat. And then try and do a healthy dinner. Buy a ready-made one if you need to use frozen veg. And be kind to yourself about that, Try and make the changes that you can. And don't go with fads, I think is another thing as well, I'd say.
Yeah. Okay. That's really good. Thank you so much for
Pleasure.
giving us the
Thank
time.
you for having me.
I'm sure everybody got a lot out of that. I definitely did. So that's it for this episode 4. Don't forget to like and share so that it'll be in episode 5. And stay well.